Hey there everyone, welcome to today's video. It's probably when you watch this, it's not yet Easter, so I won't say happy anything yet, but happy Holy Saturday. We've been doing gospel reflections. I intend to continue to do a reflection today. I thought we actually might do it on one of the other readings tonight at Mass. There is the option of all the readings, and then one can take the option to only read a couple of them. In my mind, you would choose to do less than all the readings because like the church was on fire or something. And I don't anticipate the church to be on fire tonight. There will be a fire, but it won't be the church. So we do all the readings because it's awesome. Anyway, I want to actually reflect on one of the other readings that's actually one of the mandatory readings. So no matter what, every Catholic church will read this reading for the Easter Vigil. And it's earlier on, and it's ultimately for those who are going to be baptized. This is the main reason why this one is mandatory. So it's Exodus, the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verses 15 through chapter 15, verse 1. So like all the other things we've read so far this season, they're long. So it says this: The Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward, and you lift up your staff and with hand outstretched over the sea, split the sea in two, that the Israelites may pass through on it dry land. But I will make the Egyptians so obstinate that they will go in after them. Then I will receive glory through Pharaoh and all his army, his chariots and charioteers. The Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I receive glory through Pharaoh and his chariots and charioteers." The angel of God, who had been leading Israel's camp, now moved and went around behind them. The column of cloud also, leaving the front, took up its place behind them, so that it came between the camp and the Egyptians and that of Israel. But the cloud now became dark, and thus the night passed without the rival camps coming any closer together all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord swept the sea with a strong east wind throughout the night, and so turned it into dry land. When the water was thus divided, the Israelites marched into the midst of the sea on dry land, and the water like a wall to the right and to the left. The Egyptians followed in pursuit. All Pharaoh's horses and charioteers went after them, right into the midst of the sea. In the night watch, just before dawn, the Lord cast through the column of the fiery cloud upon the Egyptian force a glance that threw it into a panic. And so he clogged the chariots' wheels that they could hardly drive. With that, the Egyptians sounded the retreat before Israel, because the Lord was frightened for them against the Egyptians. Then the Lord told Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the water may flow back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots and their charioteers." So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at dawn the sea flowed back to its normal depth. The Egyptians were fleeing head on toward the sea, when the Lord hurled them into the midst. As the water flowed back, it covered the chariots and the charioteers of Pharaoh's whole army, which had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not a single one of them escaped. But the Israelites had marched on dry land through the midst of the sea, with the water like a wall to their right and to their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel on that day from the power of the Egyptians. When Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore, and beheld the great power of the Lord had shown against the Egyptians, they feared the Lord and believed in him and in his servant Moses. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord: "I will sing to the Lord, for he is gloriously triumphant. Horse and chariot he has cast into the sea." So we reflect on this Old Testament reading today. We hear that Moses does this with staff in hand. Right? He's holding this wooden staff as he does all this. What would that staff be a symbol of? We see that also as a shepherd's staff, and the bishop also carries a shepherd's staff. And when someone actually is a bishop, but not the bishop of a diocese, they have to get permission of the bishop of the diocese they're in to carry the staff. Sometimes you'll have a server. The bishop will have a server if for whatever reason he's going to sit down to give his formal homily or whatever. He would actually have someone else hold the staff, and they would actually hold it out for him. But otherwise, if someone's carrying it, they would actually hold it in so the hook is facing the person, whereas the bishop holds it out. The reason why is the shepherd would use that staff to grab a sheep by the neck and pull it back into the fold. In like manner, the bishop, whose responsibility for keeping discipline in his diocese, would use that to wrap around the neck of a priest to pull him back in, to wrap around a parishioner to pull him back in, to wrap around a political figure who might be saying inappropriate things or actually damaging the faith, to pull them back in. Right, so Moses is leading his people, right, to do something difficult. He's telling them to follow him, and he can lead them to safety. The passing of the Israelites through the water is a symbol of what sacrament? I kind of spoiled this as we were in the introduction. It's an allusion to baptism. You have to pass through the water of baptism in order to be a member of the Catholic Church. We think of water as cleansing, of drinking, of showering or washing dishes, or watering the ground for grass to grow or whatever. That wasn't always the case especially in the first century, or at least in Old Testament things. Right? God used water to kill everyone around the whole world, and except for Noah and his family and the animals. Obviously, he used water here, and he kills the Egyptians and the Pharaoh. When baptism happens, right, we experience a type of death, or at least we're meant to. Death to the world, death to ourself. We see plenty of times in the Old Testament where someone dies because of water. But we know that death is not the end. Right? The person then comes out of the water in baptism and experiences a new type of life, a resurrection. So we read this reading tonight for those who are about to be baptized, regardless if there's baptisms or at that particular church or not, to remind ourselves that with water, we should experience some type of death. But also to come out of that water and to be refreshed, to be renewed, to be recreated. Can you list all 7 sacraments? Can you do that off the top of your head? I'll give you a second. So baptism, confirmation, confession, Holy Eucharist, anointing of the sick, marriage, and holy orders. Right, all 7 sacraments. In order to receive any of them, one has to receive one first, baptism. Baptism is what makes a man and a woman who desire marriage able to receive the sacrament of marriage. Right? Baptism was what makes an ordinary man capable of receiving the grace of ordination. Baptism, what's absolutely necessary before receiving their first confession and going to confession every time after that. Same thing with Holy Communion and confirmation. Right? Baptism is the first of all the sacraments and what gives us the ability to receive all of the other sacraments. What happens to those who are against God's people? Now, in this reading that we just read, they die. I'm not trying to put out there that anyone who stands against the church is going to die a miserable death. Right? The church feeds more people, clothes more people, educates more people, cares for more people, financially helps more people than any other organization in the entire world. And yet there are still people out there that stand, they'll publicly state they're against the church. There's a lot of other people out there who maybe don't state clearly that they're against the church, but all their policies and decisions and thoughts stand against the church. The sadness of standing against an organization that's helping so many people. The sadness of standing against an organization that, has brought more life into the world than any other organization. We have to pray for the people who, whether of their own volition or not, stand against the church. They're experiencing a type of death. Right? I think any one of us would clearly be able to state that anyone who stands against a baby, there's something wrong there. Somebody who hates children, or there's something wrong there. It's also something wrong if someone really does stand against an organization that does so much for the whole world. Pray for those people. I hope you're having a fantastic Easter Triduum. Hope you're able to join us for Mass tonight. I know it's a long liturgy, but it's powerful. People will receive new grace tonight, sometimes for the very first time. Please join us. Happy Triduum, and God bless you.